A warm welcome back to the Information Security Stack, together with me, Daniel Gustafsson, and Kim Hindart.
Hubba.
And today, Kim, we actually have a guest with us, and that is one of our new employees. Her name is Andrea Sigman, and she's actually going to work with you in the future. Hence, this is a good time to get introduced to both her and City Network as a company as well. So, welcome, Andrea, to begin with.
Thank you very much. I didn't know I was going to be on this podcast here today, but Kim brought me along, so here I am.
Yeah, there is a reason for why we brought you along as well.
Well, I didn't know there was actually a reason. Okay.
Yeah, so there is a reason.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. There is a reason. So let's talk about it. What we're actually going to talk about today, Kim, is we've been talking about group development stages before in this podcast and how you actually move a team between different stages in terms of how we interact with each other and so on. We call it stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. Stage 1 being the team that is new to each other, have never met before. Stage 2 is the team that is starting to move. We start to develop I start to express opinions according to what I believe. Me, I start to talk about myself and what I like, what I don't like, and so on. And we might run into a situation where we do not agree, could create a potential conflict between each other, or at least we need to settle our differences. So that's the stage 2. Once we get through that, we will reach the stage 3 when we become a we team, meaning we start to actually have common goals, common agendas, and so on. And as we then move along, we might get to the 4th stage, which is called high performance teams. Now, this takes time depending on how active we actually work with it, and it can depend on how long it takes, depending on how willing we are to interact and how willing we are to work together as a team. So, but according to all research, these are the stages that teams go through. The model we have been talking about before is called the IMGD model, Integrate Model of Group Development. And today we're going to talk about how do you actually then know where you are as a team? How do we actually physically get to know, or how do we actually get a measurement on where do we stand as a team? So the reason why Andrea was on board in this little exercise is because she's new. She's brand new to City Network. This is essentially her first day. Welcome to City Network, and then we put her on our podcast, right? So not everyone gets this treatment, but you know what? Why not? So when we're new to a company, when we are new to a situation, well, we feel a couple of things. We feel we might be a little bit worried. We might be a bit anxious. We don't really know what to expect and so on, right? So me, Kim, and Andrea is currently, as we sit right now, a stage 1 team. I can say that just because we have never essentially worked together. This is our first day working together. So this is completely comparable to us going to a party and we have never met anyone in the party and we feel very insecure and uncomfortable to, can I say whatever I want? Can I make a joke about whatever I want? Do I feel comfortable enough to open up about my own opinions and so on? Probably not. And you also might need some directions, meaning where is the food, where is the drink, when we're going to dance, and what happens afterwards. And once someone tells me what to do, I start to feel comfortable. And then I can start to open up and maybe become myself or act like myself. And this is exactly where Andrea is today, currently, first day on the job. And as we are sitting here as a little group together, because by definition also, we are not a team yet, we are a group. Because once again, we do not have a common goal, we don't have a common agenda, we're not really sure what to do, how to interact, what to say. Hence, we are a group of people currently talking into a microphone. That's all we are. All right, Kim, if we want to get this then more scientifically than just me saying that we are a stage 1 team, what could we actually do here?
Yes, and this is nice thing. Just to mention that the group stages, they might be called different things in different models. But what all models agree upon is when it comes to a work relation team, you pass all these stages, but they might be mentioned differently. But yes, to your point, then, how do we measure this? Can you really measure this?
Well, you actually could. And there is different ways of doing it. The most common way, and the model that most people refer to, is a model called, or a test called GDQ, stands for Group Development Questionnaire. It is in relation to IMGD as well, but the Group Development Questionnaire is all about trying to figure out where we are as a team. Where do we actually stand right now? So it's a right here and now test. It's not the syndrome, it's not the permanent state. We can absolutely change, but if we are not really certain where we are, you can do a GDQ test. So the GDQ test is roughly 52 questions, something like that. And it covers everything regarding how we behave, how do we interact, what do we, do we feel comfortable to talk to each other? Do we feel comfortable to communicate to each other? Do we feel comfortable making decisions, or are we dependent on the leader to make decisions for us? So as we sit right now, right here, if I were to say to Andrea, please tell us what to do next, she would probably feel pretty confused, don't know what to say, what to do. And the expectation would probably that either me or Kim makes that decision. So there's a leadership dependency between us three right now in that regard. And you can get that state set as well and define that as well. So there's tons of questions. Just how do we actually interact between each other? Do we have a clear goal? Do we know actually what to do every day? Do we know what we're striving for? Do we have a clear agenda? Are the goals set for the team? Do we know where we're heading next? Or are we in a state where we have different goals and we are striving for different things, meaning we are not working together, we're working with our own agenda? So you answer all of this, and essentially what you do, you answer from your own perspective. So if me, Kim, and Andrea were to do that test today, if I gave everyone the questionnaire, the outcome would be very different. Just because the fact that if I were to say, or if I got the question, or were to answer the question, do you know what the agenda of City Network is? The clear goal, the vision of City Network is? I would probably have a better chance to answer that question than Andrea, who is brand new to the company, would. Not that we haven't, you have probably read the folder. You probably, I don't know. Have you read on our webpage, for instance, Andrea? Do you have a understanding of the company, for instance? Do you
I
know
have
our
read
vision?
about the company, yes. Like I know you care a lot about communication, and like some of your values are like communication, caring. What else was there? Two more. I don't remember them. Inspire and challenge.
See? So that's, I mean, once again, that's our core fundamental values, and they are super clear to me and Kim, because guess what? We've been here for 7 years, and this is the first day of Andrea, so it's not super clear. So that would be, for instance, it would be a difference in the way we respond to that question. And also, what this test is all about is making sure that we get some sort of baseline to work from. So this test will essentially give you, or show you, where our strength is currently and where our weaknesses as a team currently is. And by definition, depending on our answers, it would also then give us the state we are in. If it's a stage 1, where we feel super new and super, not uncomfortable, but we're looking forward to getting comfortable in that fact. Or if we are stage 2, meaning we express that we have a lot of conflicts, meaning we have been working for a longer time together. So once again, I knew we would become a stage 1 team at this stage because we haven't worked together before. But let's say we had at least been working together for 4, maybe 5 months. We would probably at least then have either reached a stage 2 or hopefully a stage 3 in terms of we have started to be able to express our emotions, what we feel, and so on, right? And maybe we have been able to set a common agenda and common goals, and we know where we're heading. So depending on where you are in this cycle, you will get different results. But the end result of the GDQ test will give you a state of right here, right now, or where we are as a team. or as a group, depending on if we are stage 1 or stage 2, or if we have actually reached a team state, which is stage 3 and stage 4. So when you have that baseline, now all of a sudden you can actually start to work together, and we can actually start to work with a common set of tasks in order to improve our team. So let's say in this little exercise, let's say that me, Kim, and Andrea here, we would be a clear stage 1 team, because we're not really sure what to do. We're uncertain. So what would then be a good thing for us, Kim, to do? Stage 1, if we want to try to move our team here, what should we do then?
Yeah, we should go home and never talk to each other.
Well, that's one thing.
Yeah, no.
But let's not do that then.
But if we start to talk to each other and start to get to know each other, well, all of a sudden, what happens if I say I don't like Greta Thunberg?
Or you start to express opinions that is conflicting with me and Andrea.
I don't think women should work. They should be at home taking care of the family.
What would your response be? What would your response to that be, Andrea?
Well, you just saw my reaction. I was laughing.
Well, for the audience who's not looking at the video, they didn't see you laughing, but you actually did laugh. So if Kim were to express those types of feelings, they're not his feelings. We're just playing a little game here to see what the response. What would then happen with you? What would your response be for that?
Well, I would understand that person has an opinion of their own that is not the same as mine, but so like I would probably like try to like maybe become a little bit colder to that person, but like I would still be respectful toward them, but like I don't know, I wouldn't go extra, like be more sociable, or you know, like we have different opinions, we think differently.
But there's a great chance that you probably would not be best friends, right? Or at least you would be hesitant to maybe interact in more than just an work-related task with that person, right?
Yeah.
So essentially that would, So that could become a hindrance for you to start to develop a relationship deeper than just doing what the task is told, or whatever defined work whoever one gives you. That's what you're gonna do. But more than that, probably not, right? Or could there be a way to solve that? Because if you're like, because Kim had that very different opinion from her, so you have a difference in opinion. Is there a way you could actually then start to come to grips to that viewpoint that Kim have, or what could he possibly do here in order to make amends for that opinion?
I mean, that is a very strong opinion. I don't know how one can find the common grounds for something like that. I mean, I think just like trying to understand that each other have different opinion, but you still work together and try to have respect for one another would be like a good starting point. And what you actually need to do then in order for that to happen? You need to start to talk to each other, right? Talk. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if we don't talk to each other, then that opinion is going to be there, and that differences between the two of you is going to continue to loom and just continue to grow, or at least it will never be fixed in that regard. Because I mean, even though we are far away from each other in opinions, we can still sit down and talk about it and maybe come to some sort of a understanding why that person have that opinion. Or maybe, guess what? Maybe you could, in this case, Andrea, talk to Kim and say, listen, that's a very narrow-minded view to have. What's the reason for that, right? Or how do you make that opinion work in your life? Is that really, or at least, you know what, this is the way I see it, and you can start to inform that person regarding your view. And maybe, I'm not saying we're out here to change people's mindset. That's not what we're talking about. But maybe we can get an understanding for why the difference is there. Now, again, in this exercise, Kim shows a very strong opinion that is probably not too common, I guess, or I hope at least in our society today. It might still exist. But it's a great point to bring up. What happens if we actually end up in a situation where I just feel so reluctant to that person to interact with him or her because their opinions are so far away from my own, because then it becomes personal, right? And in order to build a relationship, we need to get to that state where we actually are willing to talk to each other and at least confront people's opinions, because that's where we start to define me opinions. I think, I feel, I want, I need, which is exactly what you do in a stage 2.
And this is also important to know. I took a very controversial topic, of course, to say this, but I mean, you never know what's important for a single individual. Let's take an example. I have 2 programmers. One likes PHP and the other likes Python. And now they hate each other. Furiously hate each other. And this is no joke. This has actually happened. So I mean, you can never know. And people outside think, oh, that's totally ridiculous. But that's not ridiculous for the one with the emotions. Who have this.
Exactly. Because whatever feeling I have and whichever emotion I have, it's mine. I own it. And there's a reason to why I think the way I do. Sometimes it might be based on ignorance. Sometimes it actually might be based in something very true, right? You have no idea why. And the only reason you can actually figure out is to ask, why do you have that stance? Why do you feel that way? So even if it's a very controversial topic, or it can be a very minor topic, like which is your favorite language to code in? Well, I'm a Java developer. Well, I'm a Python developer, so we can't speak. That is actually a real scenario that we've been going through. I have nothing in common with that person because we don't use the same type of Linux distribution. Or I'm completely different because I work in HR and that person work as a tech developer. We have nothing in common because we don't work with the same thing. Well, guess what? What you actually physically do is not relevant in order to create a relationship. It all comes back to the fact, are we willing to talk to each other? Are we willing to ask? Are we willing to actually either come to an acceptance for the differences in our opinion, or maybe one will turn depending on the information that the other person gives them. But that can only happen if we start to talk to each other. And that is the main key in order, if we were to end up through the GDQ test, that we are a stage 2 team, that we might have unresolved conflicts, and they could be, or we are in a state where we don't care about each other. It's more about me than it is about the team. I care more about my own opinions than I do about anyone else's. There could be a reason for it. It could be depending on the leadership. It could be depending on the people working in the team and so on. But most probably it's because we haven't sat down and actually talked about it, depending on what our differences are, what is the conflicts about, what are we in agreement to what to do next. Do I care about Andrea in this case? We talked about this case scenario before, that if I have 20 tickets and Andrea has 2 tickets to work with, well, either you can take the mindset that I have a bad day, Andrea has a really good day, or we can say we have 22 tickets together. Maybe we should even the workload so we can help each other. But that will not happen unless we actually start to communicate and talk about it. So the GDQ test is an awesome tool. And there are other models out there as well, but the most researched one is the GDQ test, Group Development Questionnaire. And that is how you can actually measure a team or a group of people, where they are currently in terms of their relationship working together. And it has nothing to do with what you physically do. It has nothing to do with that. It is all about how we interact with each other, how we set common goals and so on.
But surely this must differ between genders and cultures.
No, it doesn't. Because this model has been tested throughout genders and different cultures. So actually, it doesn't matter of age, gender, culture, religious background does not matter. Because what it comes down to is that we are human beings, all of us, and we have the same fundamental needs. And these measurements, the questions that are in the GDQ, only is related to the human needs and not what we physically do. Or if I'm a man, or if Andrea is a woman, or we are the differences of ages or religions or backgrounds, right? Has nothing to do with that. So in order for this to work, we just need to come to a common ground in terms of what we need as a group to move forward. What is correct, what is not correct, what is an accepted behavior, what is not an accepted behavior. When do we come to work in the morning? I always take that as a simple example. If I come in at 8 o'clock sharp every morning and Andrea pops in at 8:20 or 8:25 or 8:15 or 9, depending on the day, I might get upset because I'm always there 8 sharp, and I'm going to be very upset that she pops in at 8:30 or whenever she feels like it. And if I don't express that as a need, or express that as something that we should maybe have a common opinion about regarding as a team, then she will never know that that's a rule or that is something that upsets me. And if I just keep quiet about it and I'm very, very upset from a distance, will that help, Andrea? No, it won't. Not one iota. I actually need to say, guess what? This is what or at least we agreed to, okay, so 8:15, no later. Okay, good. Then we know 8:15, no later. Excellent. If she comes in at 8:16, then I can be upset, but not before that. Right? So this is how it works, right? But the only way we can actually get to the state is that if we define it and we talk about it. And that's what GDQ is all about. Getting a state of your team, that your group, depending on where you're at, that you are the people you're working with currently, closest to you. Where are you currently? Meaning, do you have your relationships in order? Do you have your agenda in order? Do you have clear goals? Are your roles defined? Do we know what type of roles I have? What is included in my role? What is the expectations? Who is in charge? Who makes the decisions? And so on and so forth. And all of this will become clear when you do the GDQ test. And when we have done that, then we have a baseline and a framework which we then can apply and work from and see if we can actually start to improve as a team. So that's what it's all about. So first day on the job here, Andrea, what is the feeling you had when you came to work this morning?
Well, I was a little bit anxious, because I didn't know what was gonna happen. Like feeling like, maybe I don't know everything, or that I'm not prepared for this, but I was also nervous and a little bit excited too, and still am a little bit shy and nervous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and hence we sat you in front of a microphone and a camera and say, this is a podcast, right? Which you were completely unprepared for. Okay, so what is then, since you're going to work with Kim a lot moving forward here, what do you need from him early on? What is the expectations here in order to?
I will need a lot of guiding from him, and I'll be like a baby to him, really. I'll be like a little baby, like, please give me food. But food in this case is like information, what I have to do, and like instructions, and a lot of help.
Yeah. And then
a lot of communication too.
Right. And if Kim does his job properly, that's exactly what he will do. And then you will start to get more comfortable and you will start to know what to do. And then we can start to switch the expectations of what you can actually deliver and what you can actually do and how you feel, and your comfort level goes up, and your insecurity goes away, and all of that great thing, right? Which is normal whenever you start. I mean, this is a fun discussion we can have whenever we recruit people. It doesn't really matter if you have 20 years of experience or if you are brand new to a new job. It's your first job. It doesn't matter, because you still need to learn the domain knowledge of that company. You still need to learn what is okay in terms of behaviors, what is okay in terms of communication, what is okay in terms of everything we do on a daily basis, right? Because that differs from every workplace. So the sensation you have today, new on a job, is no different than a person with 20 years experience going new to a job, because it's still a new environment. You still need to learn not only what you're supposed to do, you need to get to know all the people working there as well, which is hard in these times, in Corona times, where we don't physically meet either, which is a problem, right? So you get all of that goodie to all those great things to deal with as well. So that is what the expectations then we can start to raise the expectations once we get to know what to do. But everyone is going through this phase. Everyone is going through this stage. And whenever you join a team, depending on where they are as a team, if you use the GDQ method, let's say you enter a team that is very well prepared, work together, great relationships, have a clear agenda, clear goals, clear roles, it is super easy to join that team because they will just breeze you in and tell you this is what to expect, this is how it works, this is what we do, we help each other, and it's super easy to join that team. If you enter a team that is either brand new or has been working together and do not have all of those great things clear, they might be in conflict with each other, they don't have clear roles, they don't have a clear agenda, they do not like each other, that's tougher because then you have all of that to handle as well, right? So it's also something you should keep in mind whenever you recruit people, that everyone is not going through the same phase, everyone is not going through the same experience when you join a company. So that's why I'm also a key tip. If you're asking someone, what's it like to work at your company, and that person tells you their experience, that experience is almost always very, very, very true for the team that person works in. They could have that complete whatever experience throughout their company. Could be great, could be awesome, could be terrible, doesn't matter. But probably what the person is telling you is their experience in their team, closest, the people they work the closest with. I have an awesome experience. We're super communicative. It's super brilliant. Everything is just awesome. And then I joined that company. I don't have the same experience because I didn't join that person's team. So it could be very different depending on which team you join in a company as well. That's called subcultures, because there's subcultures in each team. And all teams have they're not defined the same way. They haven't reached the same level. Hopefully they are, but most teams are probably different. So that whole thing is also something you need to keep in mind whenever you recruit people, or if you're looking for a new job. Ask the person you will work with how they experience their workplace, not just a random person at the workplace, because if you're not going to work in their team, your experience might be very, very different. So I just want to say, Andrea, welcome first and foremost to City Network, and everything you feel right now is totally normal. Being uncomfortable, being a little bit nervous, feeling a little bit shy, not really sure what to say, what to do. But that is just because, as I just mentioned, you're stepping into a team which you don't know, you don't have a clue how we really work, but you will figure it out. And that uncertainty is just super normal. So that's a stage one behavior. Looking to be comfortable, looking for support.
And just to mention, we are really sadists here at City to put her on the podcast the first day at work.
Well, so yes, fair.
I will fully own that one. So
yeah, that was Kim's fault. But at the same time, why not? Since we were going to start to talk about the GDQ and the different experiences, why not bring a completely fresh recruit to the table?
Can I also add something?
Yeah, for sure.
Going back to what you were talking about before, I think it's like very, very important, at least for me, like that people acknowledge and like know that yes, it's normal. We expect you to feel this way. That is completely normal. Then opposite to that, so like it's like a big relief for me to know that yes, it's very normal, Andrea, to feel like that, and people know that they're gonna feel like that, and it's completely normal. Like if it's the opposite, then I'm just like gonna be so concentrated on how I'm feeling and how maybe wrong that is, or like how unfit I am, and that's just going to keep develop into like even further unhealthy thoughts, and I will not be building a healthy relationship with the company that I'm working with. So it's just overall going to be like a dreadful experience for me, like, oh my god, no, I'm going there again, or like, oh no, it's so my brain is not gonna associate the company or the people that I'm working with something positive, but the opposite. So it's important to know that people actually do know and expect you to feel that way, and they communicate that.
It's a great tip to your manager out there. If your new employees feel nervous the first day at work, you should look at them strangely and say, "Are you really nervous? What's wrong with you?" That's a very good tip for you.
No, but it's 100% normal. And once again, you're stepping into an environment which you really don't know anything about. You have expectations, and that's also something that affects the brain, that we have expectations. We have probably high expectations. and we assume that things should be a certain way, and maybe they're not when once we step into that office building and we start to meet the people. And that should, I mean, that's okay, but we build up this tension internally as well, that expectations, assumptions, and all of those things build up to a certain peak of nervousness and so on. But once again, that is just 100% normal, because that's the way everyone feels at every time we step into a new team or a new group of people. Once again, coming back to the example of going to a party where you know absolutely no one. You might be the type of person who just steps in, super open, super social, tells everyone, I mean, runs up to people to tell them, hi, I'm Daniel, and I'm this person, and I love golf, and I blah, 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 blah. I might be that person, or I might be a little bit more reluctant, and I'm not really feeling comfortable to just open up day one and say that, you know, this is me, and this is why I behave the way I do. But in time, I will probably still feel a little bit more comfortable doing that, and with time I will start to open up. The big question is, though, are you allowed to open up? Are you allowed to be yourself? Because that is not almost always true either. It could be workplaces where we have the opinion that personal life and work life has nothing to do with each other, so we don't care, and that's in my opinion a poor culture. But those workplaces are absolutely out there. But if you do feel that you are comfortable enough, and the people around you supports you in order to open up, then once again that process will be so much easier. It will go faster because everyone else is feeling comfortable talking about themselves. But then maybe I can try it, right? And that sort of helps as well. So, but once again, every time we meet new people, every time we are surrounded by people we don't know, or in a situation we don't feel comfortable, we reduce ourselves to becoming a stage 1 team, meaning looking for guidance, looking for help, support, making myself comfortable so that I can feel that I have the trust and the need and the support that I need in order to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm looking for that next task. Tell me what to do. And whenever that starts to pass, then we have moved as a team, meaning I feel comfortable to make my own decision, saying this is what I'm going to do today, and everyone says, yeah, sounds like a plan, because that's completely according to our goals. And then we moved on to probably a stage 3 or 4 team. So this is how teams work. That's pretty cool. And GDQ is the way you measured it, and we will of course link the description for what a GDQ is, so you can read up on it yourself. The research behind it is pretty awesome. It's been there for over 30 years, so it's well documented. So if you want to look into that, we'll send out the link in the session as well to the episode. If you have any other questions, you send those to citynetwork.eu/podcast. If you want to participate in the episodes, you are more than welcome, just like we forced Andrea to do today. Thank you for your participation, Andrea. Awesome that you dared to do it. Very brave of you. And until next week, whenever that is, I hope you have a great week. See you soon.